In episode 8, Serena's worst nightmares have come true. Alanis and Ryan have taken her baby, and she's stuck in a detention center. She does get to see Alanis because Alanis comes by to grab the milk, but she makes it clear to Serena that she is no fit right now to be a mother, even though Serena feels like she is. Alanis is pissed off, as is Serena, but Serena doesn't really have a choice but to play nice because she knows that Alanis can harm her child, and she doesn't want anything to happen to Noah. So she kind of just has to bite her tongue. She's also been blowing up June's phone, but June hasn't answered. She's dealing with other issues. On top of that, her and the rest of the refugees are no longer being welcomed in. There's a big anti-refugee contingent in Canada, and they're getting louder and louder, and it's tougher to ignore. It's so bad that Luke actually thinks about getting out, going anywhere but there. Hawaii, Alaska, Europe. But as Luke is discussing the possibility, June gets a phone call from Commander Lawrence. With Putnam out of the way, Lawrence went into the phase of New Bethlehem, pitching it to the other commanders. There is some initial pushback from some of the commanders on letting refugees in. They still look at people that got out as heathens. And even more so, they worry that people currently in Gilead will want to get into New Bethlehem. But Lawrence states that it shouldn't be an issue. The people that want to leave Gilead had pretty much already left or tried to leave, and they know who they are. This will allow refugees to see loved ones again. On top of it, when they do get this pushback from one particular commander, they hint that that's what Putnam thought. And after what happened to Putnam, it changes this commander's tune pretty quickly. So for the time being, most of the commanders on board with New Bethlehem, Lawrence heads to Toronto to start talking to families about coming back. The first person he called was June Osborne. He starts off by telling her that the America she knew is dead. Everything she clung to is just simply no more. All of the greed that you saw in America almost ended the human race, but Gilead fixed it. They're having babies again. Lawrence does admit that he had to get a bunch of religious whack jobs to get that message across, and it did work, but now that it's working, it's time to pull back on that a bit. They do that with New Bethlehem, allowing the refugees to come back. He tells her all about New Bethlehem, that there's no handmaids, you can read books, but more importantly, she can be reunited with Hannah. He knows this is a lot for her to take in, so he hands her a cell phone to call him to give him her answer. June gets home and fills Luke in on Lawrence's proposal, and June is considering it, but Luke is totally against it. He doesn't want to go back to Gilead, and he certainly doesn't trust Lawrence. He doesn't know Lawrence the way that June knows Lawrence. June looks at Lawrence like a friend who can protect her. Luke looks at Lawrence like a commander for Gilead. And what Luke can't understand is why didn't June turn him down right then and there? And she yells, because he said Hannah. We can see Hannah again. This starts a pretty big fight between the two, and it gets really nasty. Things are said by June that immediately she regrets. But neither likes the other's approach. June can't stand Luke's attitude. She feels like he's not doing much about it. And Luke can't stand June's because he feels like she's being too reactive. And in the end, absolutely nothing gets accomplished. Now, while these two were arguing, Lawrence paid a visit to Serena in the detention center. The good news is he's gotten the Canadian government to release Serena into Gilead custody. The bad news is her only real option is to go back and live with Ryan and Alanis. She is completely against going back, and Lawrence has to remind her they have Noah. And going back and living with them is the only way you're going to ever see your child. She yells at Lawrence, I'm not going to go live with my child's kidnappers. I'm not going to go be a handmaid. The next day, back over with her former handmaid, June, she wakes up and she's surprised to walk in the living room because there's Mark Tuello and Luke having a chat. Mark stopped by because he knows about Lawrence's proposal. He also knows that if June goes back, that's going to be a real bad look for America. He looks at what Lawrence is doing as putting the final death nail in America. And June is a pretty powerful symbol. Her returning is a lot of points in Gilead's favor. June shoots back that she doesn't really care about any of that. She just cares about being with her daughter. And Tuello asks, don't you think you owe your country anything? And June reminds him that they got captured getting information. She then asks him, have you done anything with that information? And he tells her, yes, we are doing something, but it's classified. Although June persists and makes him tell her what exactly they're doing, and he admits that they're launching a military action. He can't say any more details about what they're doing, but just that they are doing something. That's not good enough for June, and she asks about the wife schools, but Tuello says, no, we still haven't found Hannah. And June screams at him, well, Lawrence is offering Hannah, and you came all this way to offer nothing. But a frustrated Tuello says, I'm sorry, I can't tell you anything else. I'm just asking you to trust us. Please. June is pretty conflicted on what to do, so she goes and has a chat with Serena the next day in the detention center. Serena tells her that Lawrence has been planning this for years, and now it feels like he has the power to actually get it done. So it is a reality. New Bethlehem. Serena, though, gets the conversation off of New Bethlehem into her situation. She needs help in finding an advocate, somebody that can vouch for her in Canada so she can get Noah back. June, however, looks at her and says, Serena, we're not friends. And Serena kind of thought they were because June, quote, forgave her, but June tells her, I will never forgive you for what you did. I helped you because your baby is innocent in all of this. Serena starts trying to pitch June on the fact that they had this, quote, bond. But June shoots that down pretty quickly. Serena asks her, what am I supposed to do now? And June's advice is to go, live with Ryan, live with Alanis, play the good soldier, but behind closed doors, plan their demise. That's exactly how June survived Gilead, and she uses Fred as an example of that. Her last bit of advice to Serena is, you cannot help your child if you're not with him. And Serena decides to go back. Hat in hand, she goes back to the Wheelers, apologizing for everything that happened. And they make it clear to her that they are bringing her back, but really just so she can breastfeed. That's it. The other motherly duties will be handled by Alanis. Serena agrees to everything, and then she finally gets to see Noah for the first time since he was taken from her in the hospital. She's thrilled to hold him in her hands. She cries. In that moment, she's actually happy. But June is pissed off, and that night she goes and meets with Lawrence. She asks him, if I do what you want me to do, can you stop them from marrying Hannah off? But Lawrence says, Gilead is good at Gilead. I mean, you'd be with her, wouldn't that be enough? But June says no, she would be being raped. And Lawrence tries to pitch it as an arranged marriage, but there's no way to really pitch that makes it sound good, and it infuriates June even more. She starts yelling at Lawrence, reminding him that he created this world. And a very upset Lawrence says, you don't think I know that? You don't think I know the pain that was caused? I was trying to save the world, and you know what? I actually did it. But somehow it got away from me. It went septic. You think I wouldn't take it back? I would take it all back. I let the whole human race die, so I wouldn't have to have this on my conscience. That is what New Bethlehem is. It's me trying to fix this. It's where we wrestle a better future out of an unchangeable past. We start in New Bethlehem, and with those reforms and success, 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, all of Gilead could be like that. A place that doesn't have child brides, a place that doesn't trample on human rights, a place that will actually let you leave. He then looks at her and says, June, I need you. Come help me fix it. She asks him, do you really believe that you can fix it? And Lawrence's response is, I don't have a choice. June doesn't give him a response, but when Lawrence gets back to Gilead, the first place he goes is New Bethlehem. He meets with Nick, who he's been grooming as an ally, and he gives Nick an update on June. He tells her that if he's a betting man, he figured that June will be there with Nicole in 1 to 2 years. And the idea of having Nicole back in Gilead, back where he can see her, is an enticing one to Nick. But Lawrence is unaware that that night, June got a package from somebody. In the package was a disc that contained a video of Hannah at the bride school. It's brief, it's quick, but it's proof that she hasn't been married off yet. June and Luke start once again arguing about what they're going to do. June has decided that she does want to go back. She wants to be with Hannah. She wants to make sure that she's safe. But Luke has no interest in ever going back to Gilead. He'd rather trust Tuello and the American government. He also can't understand why he and Nicole will never be enough for June. And that's when she breaks down and says, because I was never supposed to leave. I was never supposed to leave Hannah behind, and I did. And I have to go back. I have to protect her. June is getting more and more upset, and Luke just gives her a hug. He also gives that video that they got to Tuello, figuring to continue to ride with the American government and see if they can find anything and get Hannah back. Unfortunately, they still don't hear back. And June isn't willing to just sit by the phone and wait. She decides to go to the market and grab some apples. But while she's there, she gets a phone call from Tuello. He tells her that he can't really give her any information, but they found Hannah. With the information provided, they found the wives' school, and they're going to get her. June is beside herself with joy. She runs home. She tells Luke and Moira, and they celebrate the fact that Hannah is finally coming home. Thank you so much for checking out this recap. Please consider subscribing to the channel and subscribing to my Patreon. Hit thumbs up if you liked it. Smash that thumbs down button if you thought it sucked. If you left a comment, I don't get back to you. I usually don't check the comments unless they're like a super comment. Also, if you don't see the next video up on the end screen, not to worry. It'll be up in a day or two.